Hello everyone, I'm Shinya Takahashi, and I'll be your guide for today's Nintendo Direct. That was the first new entry in the Mario and Luigi series in almost 9 years. Mario and Luigi Brothership. Please look forward to a seafaring adventure that unfolds across mysterious islands, as well as evolved Bros moves with Mario and Luigi. Okay, let's see the first batch of headlines.
Hello, Tarnished. I hope you're taking a break from the land of shadow to listen to this video game podcast between the joysticks. I'm your host, Nick, and I'm joined by my co-host, John, for our 100th episode.
Woo! You don't even know what a Tarnished is.
It's who you are. It's the main
Right.
character.
Little poser.
Do you know what the land of shadow is?
Yeah, it's a new place. New place we're going.
Okay. I did my homework. All right.
This guy.
Most people listening to this will probably be taking a break from Elden Ring because that's all anyone's going to do for the next few days.
I mean, it does feel good that this is our 100th episode because we can now usher in the next 100 is going to be the era of Souls player Nick. And so what better way to start that than
Good luck.
with some Elden Ring DLC.
I'd have to play Elden Ring proper before even touching the DLC.
Whether you like to or not, you can't.
Yeah, that's true. John's referring to you have to be how far in the game?
So the DLC, as per how FromSoft has always done it, you can't just load into it. You have to beat a specific optional boss that's probably about 80% of the way into the game. Moog is the boss, and he's a tough one too. He's not a pushover. Not that any of them are, and it's apparently 60% of all Elden Ring players. So 60% of 25 million people, as we've just found out, are not far enough or have not beaten this boss to access the DLC. So I'm personally getting ready to just kind of go and laugh about it when it comes out because FromSoft has earned the right to fuck with people in my mind. So
yeah, and it's been out there and everyone knows. So.
Yeah, you should.
So yeah, get on it if you're hearing this and being like, oh fuck.
Yeah, I'm we're not going to talk about it I don't think today, but yeah, I'm trying to get reacquainted with the game right now and realize that I New Game Plus my character to get the platinum, and so I got to kind of make my way back there. Mm-hmm. But it's super fun because I'm overpowered as shit and I just destroy everybody right now. So
this is a day one buy for you?
I'm not going to buy it if I can't get to it
right
at that moment, but like the moment I want
DLC, so
I'll get there as soon as I can. I mean, honestly, the number one reason I think I would want to sooner rather than later is for this show. So
sure, yeah, do it.
But I also didn't beat Elden Ring till about a year and a half after that came out. So why not do the same thing again? Get the full experience.
It's fun to be topical sometimes,
No.
If you're playing the hot new thing. So
the zeitgeist.
Being in the moment. So, sorry, we're getting some messages on the side here distracting me. But episode 100, we're here.
We did it. Who would have thought?
Yeah.
Who would have thought?
Do you have any overall thoughts on reflecting on the show?
I mean, I don't know if we did that same question for 50 or some other point, but it's kind of
do it at the end of the year, reflect on that year, but not the overall years now that we've been doing the show.
I don't think there's anything that's changed on the broad sense of, I am still very happy that we've kept this thing going. It's more fun than I would have thought. It's, a lot of work, a lot more work on your end than mine, but it is still something that I'm super, super jazzed that we've done. And yeah, I think just kind of going forward, we probably are starting to enter that phase of like, do we just keep the status quo or do we try and push this thing? And, obviously that requires a bit of effort and time and a lot of luck and that stuff too. But as long as we're continuing to have fun and enjoying ourselves and, if I can get out of my little gaming funk that I'm in right now, which I'm sure I will, got greener pastures ahead, and maybe one day we'll even get some dedicated spaces set up. I mean, that's a pipe dream, and some other things in our lives need to kind of get lined up for that to happen. But if you guys stick with us, we'll stick with you, and our small group of dedicated listeners, we do very much cherish you guys, and please, tell your friends, tell your coworkers. If there's a dumb question at your work like I just did, where it's like, what's your favorite podcast? I'm just going to pimp the shit out of me. And, spread the love. But, we love you guys. And I don't know if I feel the same about I like Nick a little less than I did when we started the show. But other than that, we're pretty good. So,
yeah. No, 100 strong is no, it takes a lot of effort from both of us. So, I appreciate that we're still doing this. It's just fun to talk video games in a more structured format.
It's the most is organic the right word in this? I feel like it is. It's the most organic thing for us, right? We worked with each other for 2 years, 3 years before we started this, 3 years or something. So
2 years.
So it was just like, all right, why not convert this into just at a dedicated time in front of a dumb piece of metal that I talk into. So.
Yeah, and like I said, to have a conversation more focused, we bring topics. We can, we don't get distracted. It's nice.
Yeah,
it's great.
Yes.
Yep. I'm looking forward to more fun episodes. So let's move on.
Sure.
You ready?
Yeah, we got some stuff.
Yeah, because E3 continues as we just got a Nintendo Direct today. So let's get into how the show works. John and I both bring up the 3 things to talk about. It can be a video game we're playing. It can be a topic. It can be a news item. It can be an email from you, the listener, at betweenthejoysticks@gmail.com. It can be a Twitter DM at joystickspod. Follow us there for updates on the show. And finally, it can be a comment on our YouTube page at Between the Joysticks. Any of those things, we bring it and we talk about it. And we got quite a few things for our 100th episode to talk about. But let's kick it off with that Nintendo Direct. Nintendo, playing the Sony game of announcing a Direct and it being the following day, less than 24 hours.
I think Sony does that specifically because Nintendo got comfortable doing it.
Right.
Where they're just like, Sony, we're Nintendo quality. We'll do that too.
And as we discussed with the state of play, I do think this is just also to avoid leaks. I didn't see any leaks for this one.
No, not at all.
And what we got before it, they said it's going to be a 40-minute showcase and no mention of a Switch successor at all. So,
yeah.
So they were setting expectations, the focus being on games this fall. And we're going to kind of cover this just like we covered the other showcases. John and I are just going to keep bringing highlights until we run out of things to talk about. So, John.
Yes.
What do you got first?
So I'm going to start with, first off, I want to say this was a pretty good show, Nick. It was a pretty good show. Pretty good outing. I mean, when I heard the Direct happening, I was just like, oh, great, more end-of-life Switch shit. But this one was a little bit extra. But I'm going to start with a game that I never heard of. I don't think anybody had. It showed off for the first time here, and it's caught me immediately with its art style. It's not one of the big ones that was shown, but I want to give it a special shout-out, and it was called Mio Memories in Orbit, which is a Metroidvania-looking game by developer, and I apologize for this, Douze de Gemes. It's very French looking. But this looked, from just a surface level, art style and getting a good feel for what the game is, right up my alley. I love Metroidvanias if they're done well. It seemed fast. It seemed kind of more like an Ori where you're moving around a little bit more quickly with just a gorgeous water brush color. I'm really bad with art words, but it's got a painted type of look to it. And it just looked absolutely great. It's also coming to PlayStation and Xbox, which is nice. So I can play it there, which will make I think that type of art style would look really, really nice on my TV. And so I'm excited to check out Mio Memories in Orbit. Hopefully, it's another one to add into the Hollow Knight and Guacamelee list of high quality indie Metroidvanias. Yeah,
I actually really liked how the character animated. Especially it has tentacle hairs.
Yeah, but it looked like it walked around with it.
Yeah, I walked around with it, especially when it was climbing up the sides of walls and stuff. The whole trailer had animated beautifully, but I'm always particularly drawn to how the protagonist animates and thought it's a very pretty game. And do we know much about this developer at all?
No, I don't even know how to say it. No,
again, another developer out of nowhere.
Yeah, I can't even pronounce it. Apparently, they did The Shady Part of Me. They worked on Curse of the Dead Gods and Aeon Must Die, but those are two different games. So it must be some weird little package that The Shady Part of Me was in. But looks like The Shady Part of Me looks like kind of more like a puzzle oriented, playing with shadows and stuff. That came out back in 2020. So this does seem like a smaller developer, smaller title, but at one point Team Cherry was a bunch of nobodies, and so you just kind of hope that you find the next one of those, and it looks super good.
Yeah, it really does. It looks like an accomplished studio, like the Ori team or the Team Cherry and whatnot. So great debut trailer. All right. I'm going to bring a surprise. A lot of the rumors when this Direct was announced that we would be getting some remakes of Legend of Zelda, particularly
Wind Waker,
Twilight Princess, and Wind Waker. Thank you. But what we got is an entirely new game in the Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening art style, and that's The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. It's coming later this year, September 26th, and what we got is the first game where you don't play as Link. You actually play as Zelda.
The bastards did it.
And the art style is the isometric view. It's still 3D, but it's, a top-down view of the map, just kind of like the old school games where A Link to the Past. But what this trailer really wowed me with was your ability to copy items. So you can walk up to a chair, a bench, a bed, a box, a plant, and you get the ability to copy it. And what you can do is if you have to get up to a higher place, you can set a bunch of tables down or a bunch of beds. Or there was this wind puzzle, and they used a indoor house plant to block the wind from coming. You can also copy your enemies and have them fight for you. So it seems to be the direction they're taking this franchise, which we saw with Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild especially, is that the Zelda games are kind of getting in kind of like a Minecraft, like a creative space to play these games. It's no longer just you're getting a specific dungeon tailored to a new weapon or a new ability. You're just getting the puzzles, and the way you tackle them is open-ended as you want. No one will tackle the same puzzle the same way.
Right.
Which is an interesting way to take the franchise. It's kind of the way they're keeping it fresh. But, John, what were your thoughts on this?
They continue to be magicians at Nintendo. I mean, I think you get obvious Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild vibes with this trailer, right? And I think you can even see that in the naming convention, right? Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, Echoes of Wisdom, right? They're not treating this like it's some sort of spin-off thing, but basically that formula with those 3D Zeldas that they have established of this controlled world that we're giving you tools to modify it and adapt to it, but in ways that make you go, holy shit, I didn't think that would work, and it did. And it really gives you a ton of those aha moments. And I was blown away by this trailer. Just, the amount of creativity that obviously you're going to be able to employ, stacking beds on top of each other. And it looks like the physics are a little like kind of not exactly what you think, because like they stack the beds in almost like a ladder formation, right? Where it didn't tip itself over like it would in Tears of the Kingdom, but it more functions as like, hey, if you think you can put together some sort of structure that'll get you there, it'll get you there. So I am absolutely looking forward to this. I honestly, this is my favorite style of Zelda in terms of the isometric top-down view. We've talked on the show about how A Link to the Past is our number one game of all time, both, that we agreed on. And the only thing I wish is that it didn't have the art style. I don't really like the
agree.
Round face, kitty-looking Link. Like, if they, I don't know. If they just had a different type of art style, I think that would be a better thing for me. But it reads really well. Obviously, it's clean. There's not going to be any worry of, I don't know, not seeing the attack patterns or anything coming at you, right? It's very clean and readable. So, crazy surprise. And I mean, I'm sure we'll talk about another game later, but, the fact that they didn't close the showdown with it, too, is pretty wild.
Right.
So, Yeah, good pick. For me, we'll go with. We're going to go with what they did close the show out with, which is Metroid Prime 4. So this game was revealed way back. I want to say 2020. First.
I believe it's 7 years old.
Since it was revealed?
Yeah.
Holy cow. Yeah, check that for me real quick. Because, this game had a weird little cycle where it got announced and then they basically said they had to kind of restart from scratch like 2 years into development. It just wasn't shaping up to be what they wanted.
E3 2017.
Yeah, so crazy long time ago. And obviously this is the sequel to the first-person shooting style Metroid games, Metroid Prime 1, 2, and 3. And it's a series that I don't have any familiarity with, really. I love Super Metroid. I thought Metroid Dread was great. As we just discussed, I love Metroidvanias, and I've heard the Prime series is the pinnacle of all of those. So you might get some people saying Super Metroid, depending on what your style of game is. But this is one I've always wanted to get into, and it looked great. I mean, from what I can tell, it's a little disappointing that it might not be like some sort of Switch 2 launch title just from a graphic standpoint. Again, it didn't look bad, but you could maybe push it a little bit. But Nick and I were talking about that earlier, and he had a great point that it's just, the Metroid franchise is probably the prime example of a franchise that us gamers think of in the top tier, but most people just kind of don't give it any credence, or they don't sell a lot at all. I think I saw something that said Animal Crossing New Horizons sold more than the entire Metroid series since its inception. So, Nintendo, I think, respects the hell out of that franchise, but they don't view it as one of their pillars, right? It's not Pokemon, it's not Animal Crossing, Fire Emblem, any of that kind of Zelda, Mario. But coming in 2025, we don't have a specific date for it yet. But my guess is eventually we'll get some sort of version of this game on the Switch 2 whenever that's inevitably.
It'll be on both. Yeah. It'll be that Zelda game that.
Yeah, what Breath of the Wild did.
Yeah, it seems to be. Yeah,
where we kind of go like in 10 years we go, oh, I guess that was on Switch 1. Yeah. But it's been that one lingering game from Nintendo for a while that we all knew was there. We knew about it, but when is it coming? And so it's here, which is cool.
Yeah, it exists, and definitely a great way to end the show because, as we talked about with Xbox, we actually saw gameplay again. But I'll be honest, nothing new as far as gameplay. It's just
I was just gonna
a better looking Metroid Prime game.
Yeah, they didn't really show. I mean, it was in terms of what we did see. It was her, of course, turning into a little ball, shooting some bad guys, charging up her blaster. I feel like calling it a blaster is like gonna piss off some people. Because I don't know, I feel like her, unless if it is called a blaster, but I feel like her gun has like a very specific.
Oh, okay.
Like the Buster Sword.
I mean, Mega Man calls it a blaster.
All right, blaster then. But yeah, it didn't look like it was pushing the envelope there. But I don't think, I don't know when Metroid Prime 3 was, but it's probably at least 12 years or so, if not more.
Yeah,
so like
GameCube game.
Even if they throw in a couple of 2007. So it's been 17 years. It'll be 18 years when it comes out.
That's why people were like, when they saw, because there's a villain revealed in this trailer, and people are like, oh, it's that guy from Metroid Prime 3. I'm like, how do you remember that? Like, holy cow.
Yeah. Yeah, it's, video game people, we got memories like elephants, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll be there to play this one. I still want to get to Metroid Prime Remastered on the Switch if I ever, want to. But.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to try out, but that game's, again, Nintendo. It's expensive.
I know, that's the point. I don't want to spend $40 for a 22-year-old game. I'm sorry.
Right.
But yeah, you got anything else to add for that one?
I do not. I want to see more.
Sure.
I want to see the abilities, the power-ups. That's what these games are built on. So we'll see what happens. But let's go with the game that started the whole Nintendo Direct, and that is another game we had no idea was coming, and coming very soon, November 7th, and that's Mario and Luigi Brothership. Now, the Mario and Luigi franchise is an RPG series, which always stars the Mario brothers, and it's action combat based. We kind of talked about that last week with Expedition 33, in which you don't just choose an attack and you just watch an animation. You're kind of involved in the attack, getting button prompts at a certain time to both dodge, block, or whatever the mechanics are, and it keeps kind of like the gameplay fresh from the traditional turn-based video game you're used to playing, where just everything, like Persona, where everything just happens and you're not really involved. But it looked good. The art style looked great. And again, we'll probably talk about this at the end, but for a fall of unknowns from Nintendo, they really filled it out quickly with a bunch of titles nobody knew was on the horizon. Nobody predicted either of, Metroid Prime 4 has always been out there, but Mario and Luigi and Legend of Zelda both, again, as we talked about last week as well, we're not getting release dates, and then when we are, it's like, oh shit.
There they are.
I'm playing Legend of Zelda in 3 months, like holy cow, which is very cool. And this was just another title that, had that Nintendo charm. Again, John and I are the Nintendo guys on this. Sorry.
Yeah, and especially with this specific franchise. I've never
but it looks cool, it looked fun, and I'm sure Nintendo fans are stoked about this one as well.
Yeah.
I bet you it's going to be a very good game.
All right, well, another one that I've never touched, but I bet there's a ton of people excited for it, is we got the announcement of the Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection, which when I saw that splash screen, I was like, okay, I don't care, another one of these. But there's one very big game in here that has been stranded for a while. But this is the list of games that are in here, starting with X-Men Children of the Atom, Marvel Superheroes, X-Men vs. Street Fighter, Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter, Marvel vs. Capcom Clash of Superheroes, the big one, Marvel vs. Capcom 2, New Age of Heroes, and The Punisher. Marvel vs. Capcom 2 specifically is one of the most cherished fighters, I think, of all time. It was one of those first big crossover games that let people play the characters they love from the comics back when superheroes were much more of a novel thing that weren't as ubiquitous as they are now, against the new street fighting clan and characters that we're starting to love at that time and that place. But again, not for me really, but I just like that these collections continue to come out. Capcom at the forefront of them. They got the Mega Man one, which kind of I feel like started all of it. But I think this one's going to be huge. I know specifically a lot of the podcasters and things I listen to, they often regard Marvel vs. Capcom 2 as like the greatest fighting game of all time. I know it's subjective. There's a lot of entries into that list, but is this something you are interested at all, Nick? I mean, as the Marvel guy, just throwing that out there, but and with the new revitalization of Street Fighter 6, kind of liked it, but you're shaking your head at me.
I like the idea of it. I was going to bring also with this the Ace Attorney Investigations collection, like these collection of video games. They're always cool, and especially if you like the properties. But as a Marvel fan, I'm just not into these games, the fighting games especially. Yeah. I never got onto Marvel vs. Capcom. It's just too chaotic for my liking.
I also never liked I never liked tag team games.
Right.
I don't like it's hard enough to get me into a fighting game, but I got to worry about 3 characters at the same time. Give me a break.
Right. Yeah. So not for me, but a great product, and Capcom usually does just a good overall package, like access to art and other things in these gaming collections. There really are like a love letter to these things, so it's exciting. Yeah, Capcom's killing it.
I'm trying to see if did they put a date on this?
The Marvel vs. Capcom, nope, just 2024.
2024. Okay.
The other ones they did, Ace Attorney is September 6th, 2024. So.
Okay. All right.
And then I just to build on this, is also the Dragon Quest III HD 2D remake coming November 14th. Just another game that looked really, really good from Square Enix.
Yeah, looks solid.
Not my jam, but again, just part of the how the showcase showed very well. Just a bunch of games that looked good, even if they're not my thing. Very similar to the Xbox showcase. So.
And with that one, they just announced that they're also going to be remaking 1 and 2. So, which I guess the first 3 are a trilogy for a specific character. So, look forward to those.
Which is weird. Why are we getting Dragon Quest III first?
I don't know. I feel like Colin Moriarty was talking a little like he knew behind the scenes, where it's like they showed it off and the reception was so positive that they kind of went backwards to just like.
Maybe it's how it was brought to the West in that order, maybe, or something like that. Maybe. Yeah. Not a Dragon Quest guy, so I can't speak to that, but it's very odd.
Yeah. How many more do you got? I got one more.
One more.
All right. So not again, as we're not Nintendo guys, so not really my jam, but it is a new entry in a pretty large franchise that's been around for a long, long time. Super Mario Party Jamboree
Boondoggle
is coming to Nintendo Switch later this year.
October 17th.
October 17th, thank you, Nicholas. But brand new entry into the Super Mario franchise. In other words, the rage simulator where you want to kill all your friends or your little brothers or sisters or your spouse or whoever stole your stars at the end of that game after you've, did all the hard work, and then they come in and swoop in and being a last place. No, there's no good in this. But it is a very fun party game. It's all these games ride and die on the mini games, right? Like, are they good? Are they frustrating? Are they actually fun to get through? And I know Super Mario Party itself was not received all that well. I think mostly though based on it was a lot of the lack of support for that game. Where it came out, it was okay, and then Nintendo didn't really. We live in an age of DLC and new things. Like, you can't just add some minigame packs or something to keep it fresh.
Like
new maps,
Mario Kart and Super Smash is just like the amount of updates those games got.
Yeah, so it's like they kind of just left the first Super Mario Party behind. But this is still a franchise. I mean, any Mario franchise is never dead, right? Like they always have the opportunity to go back to it. So here's another one. I'm always conflicted with these, though, because I feel like, it'd be a good game to play with my kids. But, again, I don't think so. I think he would just get mad. But
this does have the online play, which is like 20 people playing at once. That looked interesting as part of the trailer, and that would be fun,
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe you also get frustrated, but I don't know.
It's the Mario Kart problem I have, man. It's like it's another game where you can just stay in the lead the whole time, and
right.
I just
well, it wasn't.
That's why I don't play.
Like,
why I don't play Smash with items, man. I don't want you to fucking come in here and not earn it.
This looked a little bit more structured. I don't think you're using a board game when you're playing with 20 people, because 20 turns would be insane.
That is true.
I think it's just the rotation of constant mini games, and there might be some random stuff in there, but from the trailer it just looked like they're just all doing mini games. So.
Yeah, if you have here's 10 mini games, if you come in first place, Mario Kart style, right? You come in first place, you get 10 points. You come in second place, you get 7 points, and then just bet the end of the mini games who wins.
Yeah, because the other weakness of this franchise is, when I played Mario Party 3, I was a teenager, and we would just all hang out for N64 controllers and play, and that's not quite a thing anymore. So it's
how many
nice.
Joysticks got broken from Mario parties? Because I just remember taking my hand and going onto the joystick and go and spinning it as fast as which is just
I'm sure it ruined quite a few. All the button mashing mini games as well. The A and B buttons, I'm sure, get destroyed. So,
but yeah, it's a big announcement nonetheless, and just kind of. We got a new Zelda game, a new Super Mario game, a new Metroid Prime game, and I did not expect, that level of games at, maybe the last big direct of the Switch's life. I mean, there might probably be one more in the fall, but,
Yeah, well, they always have that competing one where Sony and them go the same
September
day.
One.
The same day, but yeah, it was, it's just interesting how they brought it again, expectations going into this showcase weren't very high. I mean, Switch is a very old console at this point. It's also 7 years old. I think it's coming on its 8th birthday, or may have already
March
passed.
2017, I think.
Yeah, so 7 years, and that's a long in the tooth for a console. And you're wondering how long will Nintendo support this as they try to ramp up and get games out that are going to be on Switch 2. And so I think when you come into this with you think it's going to be all the remakes coming, as I mentioned, with Twilight Princess, and there was one remake here that we didn't talk about
Donkey
it, but
Kong.
Yeah, Donkey Kong Country Returns. No, they filled out their fall. They have a game every month, starting in September, October, November. They have a first party release, and that's on top of all the other games they're getting. So Switch is still in a healthy spot and getting games.
Yeah, Nintendo, they just, man, what a fortune. I bet so many companies are just looking at them and be like, God damn, they just have it made. It doesn't matter what, PlayStation has this similar thing. Unfortunately, they don't talk and tell us what they're making. But, where it's just they're in such a good position that they can kind of just take it easy, make release games when they come out. And they got 35, 40 years of IP building up, and it's just, Nintendo can't be stopped, man.
No, I know.
Which is funny because after the Wii U, I do remember people talking about, like, is Nintendo going to get out of the console space? But
Nope.
Nope.
Let's pivot just really quick because this is it. This is the end. I don't believe something else is going to happen. That E3 is not E3. E3 is officially over now. Do you have any general takeaway? Because most of the thought has been Nintendo and Xbox, these showcases felt like old times. These were both really good and solid showcases. Sony, on the other hand, kind of dropped the ball. They're the big losers here, despite right now being, like you said, best-selling console. They're going to publish a game on Switch this fall that was also at this showcase. They've been getting Xbox games. They're eating good. They're doing good. They're the healthiest right now, but
yeah, I do.
Would have been nice for them to show why you should still be interested in a console beyond this year.
Yeah, I do kind of think obviously a cocky Sony. We've seen it in the past. At the end of the PS2 generation, it didn't do well for them. They recovered, but they tend to make mistakes when they're in this position. I don't think we can yet say it was a mistake to not bring more because, again, they are in the dominant position. If I'm a business owner, if I'm looking at the charts and the Excel spreadsheets and all that stuff, it's like, yeah, it doesn't matter if we have first-party stuff or not. We're going to be on top. However, I do think we're getting close to this point where the only type of direct communication I feel like we've gotten from Sony, besides these small little directs for the past, since the Wolverine showcase, which was September 2022, has been all like live service communication. And it seems like they've pivoted away from when they first talked about it with like the 10 live service games and we're going to do this and we're going to invest all this money into it. It seems like they've dialed back on that. But we're starting to get to that point where it's like, okay, but did you guys sacrifice a ton of stuff to push this forward? Or are we all just worrying about nothing? I'm not at yet the point to be worried about it, but if we get past this year and like the next game announced is some sort of, or it's like the next thing we're going to be focused on is fair games, and we know of one more thing, it's going to start to get to this point. It's like, I don't feel super confident in the brand. Now, that all being said, I think if during the state of play this year, if Concord hit for people, I don't think we'd be having this conversation. I think I do think they were one strong game short of at least getting another pass.
That's true.
Where it's like Astrobot is still it's out of all the games I saw over the past month or two, that's probably number one for me.
Right.
So they have a very strong game there. Concord just shat the bed, but if it was at least serviceable, I think we'd be like, okay, at least we got that, and like then we'll see. So my big takeaway is, it's been frustrating. It continues to be frustrating. I still have faith in Sony, but we're getting close to like I'm full confidence that whenever we see the Pro, that's probably when we're going to see Ghost of Tsushima 2. That's probably going to be a good showpiece for that. But I need to see Housemarque's games. I need to see Blue Point's games. I need to know that you guys have figured out some sort of pipeline system that isn't 7 to 8 years between big AAA first-party single-player releases. Maybe you're shoring that up with your third-party stuff. They've done a good job with that this year. They've done a good job with that last year. But like, I don't know. It's just you got to stay on top of it, man.
Right.
Like you can't put the foot off the gas and just go, yeah, we're on top, yay.
Right.
So.
And again, they obviously went first, and maybe things would change if they knew this was going to happen. But like you said, I don't think
they care. I think it's just
and they might be like, again, it's always about a repeated line on this show is, what have you done for me lately? If they're waiting for September for a big blowout of the PS5 Pro, and they're going to have to, give you reasons to buy that. They just might be waiting. They want you to keep buying regular PlayStations until they're ready to talk about that.
Yep, they don't want to end up sitting on stock of all that. The closer you get to Grand Theft Auto 6 and can tie that to your thing, that's going to be a big, big boon.
Oh, yeah.
It'll be interesting, too. And, weird little side tangent. Like, why is Xbox releasing a 1 terabyte $600 Series X? Like, I don't understand that. Or a 2 terabyte. It's just like
it's Call of Duty.
That's a good reason.
Call of Duty's
I guess
install size is
but
so
it's just
huge.
like if the PS5 Pro comes out at $600 and you're looking at those, it's just like another reason. Like, why would you ever? But
no,
But anyway, I digress. So,
All right.
yeah, I mean, that's kind of. It was a good month. It was a better month than any post E3, not E3 month. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah.
Everybody knows
Yeah.
what I'm saying. I just words hard sometimes.
Yeah, it was a good month for video games as far as announcements and upcoming releases as Shadow of the Erdtree comes.
Yeah.
It's good, very good, very, very good month. All right. Moving on to our next topic. Now that Nintendo has popped off, we kind of got the fog of war lifted. There's nothing this fall that really is going to change unless things get delayed outside of the 2024. But we kind of have release dates mostly outside of the 2024 for Avowed, Lego Horizons, and all those games. But we kind of know what we're playing this fall, John. And I want to kind of get an updated list of what your most anticipated games are for the fall season.
Okay.
And
I got 5. I did find 5.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. I got 5 too.
I ranked them. Did you rank yours?
I did rank them.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. I'll start with number 5.
All right.
Added to the list fresh off today. I'm weirdly interested in Lego Horizon Adventures.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's as I find time to be hard, there's a little special secret sauce that's worked into the world of video games, which is play it with your kids. Right. And this is just one of those that, like, it seemed like on the gameplay that they showed at the Nintendo Direct today, it seemed a little less puzzle oriented, more just kind of focus on the combat, focus on like a little bit more of the going through this game, right? Because if this is a direct remake of the first one, you kind of have to keep it going, right? You can't just linger in one spot while you're trying to figure out this dumb puzzle for a long time, because there's a lot of different places you got to get to, a lot of story beats you have to get to. So I'm weirdly into it. I'm not saying I'm going to buy it for sure. It's nothing like that. This fall as a whole for me is a little soft, which was why I think Nick was surprised I even found 5, because we've been kind of joking that I'm not going to play anything for the rest of the year except for Astrobot. But I think it looks pretty good, And I like seeing a PlayStation property on a different console. It's cool.
Yeah, that is a wild theme of this year when we go back and look back at it. But the Lego humor applied to Horizon looks fun.
Yeah.
When they're customizing the town or customizing your figure, it looked fun. It's got a good energy to it, and I'm sure Ashley Birch will really kill it because she's kind of a silly person.
She is a very silly person, and it'd be if it works and my son's into it, it's just probably a good gateway into that series, and maybe even a good gateway into just more serious gaming. He'll be 8 in February, and so it might start being time to, like, hey, can you handle quests? Can you handle at least like kind of
kid blowing away all my times in neon white?
Yeah, I know, right? That kid. Well, It's because those TikTok kids, man, they got those short attention spans perfect. 20 seconds. But yeah, I am a little more into that than I thought I would have been.
Okay. All right. A lot of the games I'm going to bring were shown, we talked about last week, so I'm not going to really expand very hard on a lot of them. But my number 5 is the Life is Strange sequel, Double Exposure. As I mentioned, I played Life is Strange True Colors, and Deck 9 killed that game in a positive way. In a positive way. They killed it. I really enjoyed it, especially as those games are always just a nice palate cleanser because they're kind of story heavy, gameplay light, and
you can't lose. Yeah,
you can't lose. They're easy platinums. The gaming pie for those is adjusted a little bit. And the return of Max and her story from the original Life is Strange, a game that I liked a lot. This was another surprise that I didn't know about at the beginning of the year when I picked my most anticipated games, but here it is.
So you've played 1. Did you play 2?
No.
Okay. You played Before the Storm?
I played Before the Storm.
Okay. I'm just trying to... So you've done 1 Don't Nod and then 2 Deck 9s? Because they switched after...
Yeah.
I think Deck 9 did Before the Storm. Don't Nod did 1 and 2.
Right.
And then I think... Yeah, so... Okay. Well, you can't really probably say which one you like better then.
Before the Storm was surprisingly good. I actually really enjoyed
good.
that
Yeah,
one.
so I mean, because the reins have been handed over seemingly. The franchise is now in the hands of Deck Nine. Don't Nod doesn't seem to be doing it anymore.
Right.
They've moved on. So
yeah,
it's rare that you find a shepherd of a franchise that continues like this exact same trajectory of the
right.
It didn't dip in quality, it didn't really increase in. It's just like more of the same.
And there was a lot of these games for a minute, with
Mm-hmm.
Telltale and all that, but that seems to have really slowed down.
Was that Captain Spirit game? Was that part of?
That was a prequel to
2.
Yeah,
Okay, got it.
Yeah, that was a free demo.
Okay. My number 4 game is also something that has been recently added to the list, but we got a nice little blowout from a lot of the outlets over the past couple days, and that's Black Myth Wukong from Game Science, game that was shown quite a ways back, I believe in 2020, and ever since it was shown was just kind of at the top of everybody's radars. It's got very fluid animations. It looks absolutely gorgeous, but it's it's kind of nice that we just got all these preview coverages, because before everybody's like, yeah, it's absolutely a Souls-like. And it's not that it's not, it has a lot of the trappings, the campfires, the things like that, but the coverage has been saying that it's a lot faster, it's a lot more dodge and reflex based than kind of like reading enemy moves and blocking and doing all that kind of stuff. So seems to be a different take on something that I absolutely love, and if the animations and the way that it feels, are any indication, I think this is going to be a very high-end version of a Souls-like, something that we kind of look as alongside the From Software ones. At least that's what people are saying. You hear Hideo Kojima talk about he's been thinking about this game for 3 years. Everybody says the first 2 hours were incredibly strong, so I don't see any reason why this game isn't going to hit at this point. And cool enemy design, it's based in Chinese lore, which is a lot of huge animals and weird fucking.
That's what I was drawn to.
Yeah, a lot of
that giant bear
fight and just
a frog with a t-shirt.
Yeah, so it's cool that we're getting a lot of these. China's really popping off, man, and they got a lot of cool stories and Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon type shit. It's just cool stuff. So Black Myth Wukong, which I want to say comes out in August. I'm really bad at just having these ready to go.
Yeah, it's August.
Yeah,
it's
but I want
2
a
weeks
specific
before
date.
Astrobot.
August 20th. So yeah, it's probably, unless if it reviews extremely well, maybe I'll be there day one. But it's probably as soon as I beat Astrobot, look and see if maybe it's dropped in price a little bit and then pick it up then. But yeah, looks cool.
It does. It looks great, and a lot of these impressions kind of have from the press have kind of raised my hype level for these games, and that's including another game I talked about last week, and that's Assassin's Creed Shadows, coming November 15th. Again, we talked about it last week, but it's the press getting their hands on it and being like, yeah, this is not just the same. Franchise over and over. This is a current gen version of the game, and as we saw with a lot of games, the attention to detail is in just how much is going on in these towns and whatnot, and just how these dual protagonists will play and change your play style. It's exciting. It's a positive direction to take this franchise, which I've played the last 3 games. So
yeah, I'm wondering if I'm about to start some sort of every other thing with this franchise, where it's like, okay, I did Odyssey and I really liked it. I dabbled with Origins. I dabbled very briefly with Valhalla. I was just not feeling it. So yeah, but this one does look good, and it'll be $20 in February. So low entry.
Aww.
I know. Sorry, Ubisoft. Don't drop your prices so quickly. Where we've caught on, but also keep doing that. Anything else to say about that one?
Nope.
Cool.
Nope.
Another one that was added today, Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. We don't need to talk anymore about it, but I will be there day one for that one.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I think so. I wasn't anticipating really pulling out my Switch maybe ever again, but this will probably be the one. But yeah, it looks like I said, this is my preferred style of Zelda with a lot of cool mechanics built in. So I'll probably be there day one.
Yeah, I have a feeling this will be one of the best reviewed games of the year again.
Dumb.
Game of the Year candidate. So, yeah, no shock. Unless something really bad happens with this game,
I can't.
I can't imagine it. Again, we talk about our fantasy league. This is probably up there, the number one of this fall.
Probably.
besides Astrobot.
Isn't it weird that when we talk about Nintendo games, we're never like, who's developing it? It's like, one of their guys, one of their teams. I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know who does. They have their weird little teams.
Yeah, it's like Square Enix, like Business Unit 5, and you're just like, oh, okay.
Are they good? Are they good ones? Yeah, they're all good. Just don't worry about it.
But they brought out Enuma for this one, so
yeah.
At least he's producing it, so it's going to be good. That guy is...
You don't miss.
He's a name that you should all know because he has been shepherding all these Zelda games, so... All right, my number 3 is another game we talked about last week, and that's Dragon Age: The Veilguard.
Really?
Yeah, if BioWare can hit like BioWare used to hit, and the story matters, and the gameplay, I did like Baldur's Gate a lot. The gameplay was probably the weakest part of it for me. And seeing the gameplay for this is more of my speed, more move away from the turn-based, more action-based, I can get behind this. I can play more of this game. And I'll talk about Dragon's Dogma in a bit, but this looks better. Having your characters voiced, having, the colorful, the companions in Dragon's Dogma are just, player-created, generic people. These people, the cast we saw in that initial trailer, they're animated. They all look very different. Yeah, one lady's got a really dumb hat on, John, but
yeah, she does.
But this game, if it's doing everything that was said in the previews, the choices, the romancing, the character companions can die. Like if those moments are well written, it could be a return of the franchise and return of BioWare of old. And BioWare of old is Mass Effect and Dragon Age and franchises I hold in high regards, especially back then.
This game's such a glaring example of our pie differences because I don't really give a shit if any of that stuff. I don't care about romancing, but is the combat good? That game for me will live and die. I think it was a very bad choice to show off the beginning of that game just from a combat standpoint because it was so simplistic. But I know that there's going to be a ridiculous amount of special spells you can use and combos and stuff like that, but I have no sense of that. I have no sense of, am I going to be able to control other characters? I think I've heard you can basically a lot choose their specials at any given time, but it's just I have the same fears with that as I think I would have with a Valhalla, where it's am I going to get a little tired of that by the end? But yeah, I mean it's got that's one that has a such a big low floor for a review score and high ceiling for a review score, and you better hope the video game gods are smiling because
they've been pretty good as of late.
They have been good as of late. A BioWare redemption would be wild. That would be
this is
huge. Rocksteady is now going the way of BioWare, where it's just you're starting to lose faith in these guys, and but you haven't totally lost hope. You know they can figure it out. So number 2, real super quick for me, Shadow of the Erdtree coming out in a couple days. I'll play it. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah. That's technically not the fall, but
yeah, whatever. It's in the future. Whatever.
All right. I have a feeling my number 2 is your number 1, and that is, of course, Astrobot, a game we did not know was coming this year, but it is coming September 5th. 6th, sorry. Bringing all the joy that was in Astro's Playroom, the free install that we all played when we got our PlayStation 5s. And
if you didn't, fuck you.
And, just there's not much more to be said. That game looks to be pure magic. More things have come out about it. It's got the only thing that's I'm afraid of is will it keep its charm over the 80 levels that it's got, the mechanics. Will they none of them get stale? But I think
when you're on level 872 and you see an Astrobot version of Ciri from The Witcher 3, you're gonna be like, whoa! I thought it was all PlayStation things.
But and I lost my train of thought.
Whoops.
When we were talking about the trailer and being like, are they showing too much? And then you hear there's 80 levels. It's like, we didn't see even probably a fourth of the game. So
I mean, and this is one of the weird little advantages I have over you with this series as somebody who played the VR
you
game, right? I think
recognize
there
a
was,
lot.
I want to say there's 20, maybe 30 levels, and every single one of them felt very different from the other, right? This is the
Well, there
cloud
you
level,
go.
this is the underwater level, this is the forest level, this is the space level, this is the, so I'm sure they will get incredibly creative with it, and the press reactions from getting their hands on it a little bit, it's like, this is a true Mario competitor. Like, it's not going to be in the sense of like, the amount of spin-offs that Mario has or anything like that, where they're not going to rely on Astrobot to prop up their platform. But like, if you're looking for some high quality platforming, you're probably not going to be able to get much better than this.
And
on PlayStation.
cameos.
And cameos, yes. But yeah, so that was my number one. So if you want to go with your number one.
Yeah, my number one.
Star Wars Outlaws.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you remember at the beginning of the year, my 3 most anticipated were Star Wars Outlaws, Final Fantasy Rebirth, and Metaphor ReFantasio. Unfortunately, I'm a little bit burned out on JRPGs, so Metaphor is a lot lower on the list. I'll probably just get to that eventually. But Star Wars Outlaws continues to show good. Another game that press played and really enjoyed, and it's Star Wars, so I'm in. Yeah,
I mean, can Ubisoft break their formula with open world structure? And obviously you have different planets, right? So that in and of itself breaks it up. But it's just, I mean, I hope this game can separate themselves from that, because Avatar, a game that every single person I heard talk about liked it, but the review scores were 69, almost explicitly because it just seemed like a burnt out formula. So it does seem like this is the one that Ubisoft is putting the extra resources in, the extra bit of ideas and creativity, to hopefully push that forward a little bit. But
and it's their A team,
Yeah.
Ubisoft's A team, so
yeah.
It's looking good.
It's not bad. Not as bad as it seemed like a week ago.
Yeah, maybe not as good as last fall, but this is outstanding. I'm so excited. As long as they all
last fall Ragnarok. So
no, it was Spider-Man.
Was Ragnarok 2 years ago?
Yeah.
No, that's dumb. Why do I have trophies like recently for it then?
Because you played the DLC, the Valhalla DLC. Yeah, I noticed that when you're all of a sudden like, oh yeah, this game's higher up in my trophy list, and like we'll talk about
that's
Alan Wake
that's
later.
how I know, like when I go back and I look at like, oh, okay, this is what I like.
So yeah, no, last fall was Baldur's Gate, Cyberpunk, Spider-Man, and more. So
what else did I play? I don't know. Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah. So all right, let's move on. Let's revisit our list, John. Now, first thing I want to get to, so we're going to talk about our top 10 PS5 games, but we are now between the joysticks. Should we change these to include games from other platforms?
I would say, if anything, we have separate lists.
Okay.
Because it allows us to cycle the topics a little more, right? So we can fill in, but no, I think maybe not 10, right? But like we could have a list of five, maybe 5, and 5. I don't know. We can play with it, but no, I think we should, because we've already gotten to a point with this list where like every single, like you should play all of these and some. So like I feel it'd be a disservice to like do that, but
yeah, PlayStation is our preferred. I mean, obviously we talk about the other brands, but and John does own all 3 consoles, but I only own a PS5, so I just don't have I can't be like, oh yeah, Tears of the Kingdom. It'd be me just being like, yeah, I'm adding it because the reviews and John felt strong about it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll probably be the one that champions a lot of them, but like you also understand video games so well that I think if I go, yeah, it does this and this and this, and you'd be like, oh, that's pretty fucking dope. So,
but here's our top 10 again in no particular order: God of War Ragnarok, Hades, Alan Wake 2, Elden Ring, Final Fantasy 16, Marvel's Spider-Man 2, Resident Evil 4, Cyberpunk 2077, Returnal, and Neon White.
Okay. So first off, I think it's easy to establish the untouchables. Okay. God of War Ragnarok is untouchable. Elden Ring is untouchable.
Well, do you have any swaps for specific games? Maybe that's always the easiest route to go.
No.
That's kind of how we've been doing. So you don't have anything to bring to update the list as of right now?
Thinking about now that Dave the Diver's now on the console, which is so that can be eligible. I don't know if it kicks off any of them though.
All right.
Okay.
These are my potentials.
Yeah.
First up, it probably won't make it because it's not as big of a game for you and it's a multiplayer game. But Helldivers 2 shook the world earlier this year. 12 million copies sold, more copies than our Marvel Spider-Man 2 game that's on this list. Yeah. Does it belong here? Is there any game? Like I said, I'm just bringing it.
Yeah.
I don't have a game on this list that I would swap it out for.
I mean, the only way is if you really.
We are very single player focused on our list.
Yeah, but like if we qualified it in a specific way, right? If we said based on its popularity, based on its,
it would be the lowest open critic score on
based
this
on
list
all
too.
that. So if we do it based on impact and stuff, I think it deserves it, and I think you could kick off Neon White or Final Fantasy 16.
No, this is our list. I don't.
But that's what I was gonna say. This is our list. At least that's the way I understand it. So
yeah.
I personally, if let's say I'm gonna guess, it's probably like in the 7, 8, 9, 10 range for you. If you think it should be on there, it's probably in the 25 to 40 range for me. So I don't think it probably makes it on there.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think so either. Maybe it's something we revisit later because it's a live service game. It'll change more. But
yeah, I just don't think it just gets tired too quickly.
Well, yeah, especially for you. But I'm at 120 hours. So
are you really? My
yeah,
God. You're like 8.
So, but I definitely just wanted to see if it had a chance. The other game that could have a chance, and we'll talk about it later, is Stellar Blade. I know you said an 8 when you reviewed it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm a little higher on the game than that, but does it have a chance? Is there any game? Again, I don't have any direct swaps here.
Sorry. Okay, so I think I just want to make sure. So I have Final Fantasy, Spider-Man, RE4, Cyberpunk, Neon White, God of War, Elden Ring, Alan Wake 2. What am I missing?
Returnal.
Returnal. Is that it? Is that 10?
Do you have Hades?
And Hades. Okay.
He's deep in thought.
I mean, Final Fantasy 16 and Spider-Man are probably my lowest 2. So those are the ones I'm kind of comparing it against.
All right.
I don't know any.
Maybe let's revisit this because I do want to. Final Fantasy 16. I want to swap with Rebirth.
Okay. I can defer to you for that.
Okay.
Because
yeah, that's happening.
Okay.
It's the better reviewed game. It's the more traditional Final Fantasy, and while I liked 16, I liked Rebirth a lot more, and not just for the nostalgia. I think it's the better overall game. A better game that encapsulates what makes a Final Fantasy game. So, okay,
yeah, I can't. I haven't beaten it, so I can't really speak to the impact that it will have eventually. I like the combat in 16 a bit more, but and like the big temple moments are just I think so strong in that game, but. 7 is Rebirth is probably a better game, and if we're recommending things for people to play, yeah, not a bad one.
And then the other proposed swap, you did mention Dave the Diver, and it's really hard to remove a game from this list. But
honestly, I think Dave the Diver is better than Spider-Man 2, personally.
Wow,
I
was gonna go RE4. But you're saying Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. I've only declined on that game, which is.
Well, we brought it as a topic earlier, or just amusing, when we were talking. Like that game just seems to be like forgotten. It just came and went.
Yeah.
And it's a really good game, but it's just, you won and done it, and Spider-Man is just such a.
And that's kind of like. again, adding all these qualifiers onto this, right, of what defines or what earns a spot. But like, if the whole idea is to have games to like recommend to people, I think, we have a decent amount of open world games. Do we need another one? It's probably the most generic of them, but it also has incredible movement and combat.
Yeah.
But Dave the Diver is also super special and unique. So I almost feel like, if anything, it could maybe take Neon White's spot, but I can't let that happen. Yeah, I mean, and I have no attachment to Alan Wake 2. So Alan Wake 2 and Spider-Man 2 and RE4, those are probably definitely at the bottom.
Yeah, we're getting more and more into the if you're to hard lock this list, you're looking at like 6 games are hard locked and not going anywhere.
Man, that's Spider-Man 2 or RE4 or Dave the Diver. That's kind of. I could pick 2 of the 3.
Well, and we also, if you wanted to put Stellar Blade on the list,
I don't think Stellar Blade makes it. I don't think it's. It's not as good as Final Fantasy 16. That's for me personally.
Yeah.
So like, if we're kicking that off, like, I don't think it can go.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just.
Yeah, I don't know. Resident Evil 4 is good, but it's it's a remake.
It's a remake, and it's
of an existing.
And we have a
thing.
Yeah, I want Dave the Diver on this list. I want it on there. I've decided I'm good to kick off RE4. We already have Alan Wake. We already have Alan Wake 2.
Yeah, I just need to get you to play Alan Wake.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, sweet. All right, so I'm good then. Those were the 2 I wanted.
Cool.
So you good? No, so Stellar Blade. Nah.
Man, I wish I could fast forward to this moment, the first day I talked to you about Dave the Diver. And like, I don't know if he'll like it, and then now we're adding it to the list.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I played the
stuff.
fuck out of it. Platinumed it. Loved it.
Good.
It's a great game. All right. So here we are. Our top 10 PS5 games is updated as of June 2024 to have God of War Ragnarok, Hades, Alan Wake 2, Elden Ring, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Marvel's Spider-Man 2, Dave the Diver, Cyberpunk 2077, Returnal, and Neon White.
Good games.
Yeah. Just wait till we have to put Astrobot on this list.
And Sea of Thieves.
Sea of Thieves. Hey, Sea of Thieves is selling like crazy.
I know. Yeah, I mean, Astrobot's probably gonna. Wasn't the Astro Rescue Mission was on there for a bit, right?
Playroom, yeah, I think so.
Sorry, yeah, Astro's Playroom.
I'd have to go back and look, but
I'm pretty sure it was.
All right, moving on to our next topic. It's been a while since we've talked about the games we've been playing. It's been a few weeks. It's been all this focus on E3. So let's kind of catch everyone up to what we've been playing, where we're at. We've been teasing the last few episodes, but did you want to start, John, or do you?
Yeah, I'm gonna be quick because I've been in a little funk, so I can start and then let you go.
You just want to pick a game, and then I'll pick a game, and
I only got 2 games to talk about.
I only have 3.
Oh, okay. All right, I'll do really quick here, because I'll save a little bit more time for Hellblade. So I turned on my Xbox the other day, right, to play Hellblade, and I thought, well, obviously I should just kind of look through Game Pass, download a couple other things, and I loved Ori and the Blind Forest when it came out way back in the day, and so the sequel to it, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, has been a game that I've dabbled in but never beat, and so I re-downloaded that, and what I specifically wanted to mention here is, oh my God, I have never seen a game take advantage of an OLED screen like this game has. Like when you move Ori around and you do some of the attacks that she, I don't know if it's a boy or girl, can do, I've never seen brightness pop on a screen next to the darkness. Like it's the craziest thing I've ever seen. So if you have an OLED TV and access to Ori or any of the Ori games, just check it out. That shit's ridiculous. And it's amazing, high quality Metroidvania stuff. Again, the first one's great. This is more of the same type of thing. It's been out for a while now, so I'm not going to get too deep into mechanics or anything like that. And I do want to get back to it, but as we'll talk about with Hellblade, I might be one Xbox short here soon. So I don't want to pay for Game Pass just to play through that, and I do have confidence that the Ori games will eventually come to PlayStation, so whenever that happens, I can, hopefully pick them back up then. But really, really, like, Moon Studios, man, I don't know. Like, between... Xbox has some good-looking games. I'll give them that. They got some good-looking games.
Well, yeah, this is a sad story of, like we see with a lot of their top-tier developers of, making great games on a platform that just doesn't sell. So I can't even imagine how well those games ever did,
Yeah, I mean, luckily they got them onto Switch, and, Microsoft let that happen, and then, their next game's coming out everywhere. So they got away from it. It's honestly, when Microsoft went on their spending spree over the past 7 years, I can't believe Moon wasn't one of the ones, and maybe they tried and just wasn't able to, but they were also one of the most vocal studios out there when Tango got shut down. The guy in charge of Moon was like, yeah, this is why we didn't want to do that.
Yeah, so it does sound like,
sounds like they didn't.
It wasn't
want
even an
it,
option.
which was a good move. But these Ori's maybe the best movement feeling Metroidvania out there. It's good stuff.
Okay.
So that's just one.
All right, I'm going to bring the Alan Wake 2 DLC, Night Springs, as that's the most recent video game to come out and announced at Summer Game Fest.
Most recent.
Hey, it's only like it's 10 days old. And what it is it's Night Springs is the Alan Wake's universe, is the Control universe version of the Twilight Zone. So it's kind of told in 3 episodes that kind of cover three different games. They take the protagonist from Control, Quantum Break, and then the waitress from the Alan Wake series and give them their own little side stories that are not tied to the overall universe. It just kind of ties in. If you've played those games, you get a bit more of those references. Like John, you played Control, but the Jesse in this episode has not been to the federal.
The old house?
Yeah, the old house. I didn't want to say bureau.
Federal Bureau of...
I've butchered that word so many times on this show.
I do maybe go a little hard on you with pronunciation sometimes.
But it's before she even visits the old house. So, so she and every one of them takes place in an area that's in Alan Wake 2. So they're kind of repurposing some of these areas. But in particularly like Jesse's story, she's dealing with a coffee that brainwashes you, and there's this whole little side story about that, and ends pretty good. They all kind of end on like, what a twist, kind of stuff like that, and it's all narrated by Waylon Dorr, who's this ominous character throughout Alan Wake 2, but presented in this episode format, and it just tells 3 quick tales. That this DLC probably takes about 3 hours. It's $20 for both DLCs. You get them both. They have another DLC coming for Alan Wake 2, but they do some interesting things. It's the same gameplay as before. They give you tons of ammo for some reason. I wonder if they just wanted you to experience the story, and shooting just
not struggle with it.
Yeah, shooting's just trying to the afterthought to just vary up the gameplay of some of the things, and they go in some interesting places. You'll not predict, or especially the last episode goes. It goes really bizarre, and
it's like the weirdest part about this franchise is like how weirdly silly it seems.
Yeah,
like it just does not. Sorry, wife calling me. You wouldn't expect it to go there, and it seemingly loves to live in that space. So, but
playing as Jesse again, especially, as a big fan of Control. It was like, man, I really want a sequel to Control so badly.
It's been announced, right?
Not officially. It's just like, this is one of the many projects we're working on. It's great.
All right, and then the big game I've played.
Brace yourselves.
Yeah. So, from Ninja Theory, Hellblade 2. Senua's Sacrifice, Hellblade 2. This is the sequel to... God, I hate their naming convention so much. Hellblade, Senua's Saga, which came out a long time ago. Game that dealt with a lot of mental health issues, right? It does the auditory thing where voices are kind of in your head, but they're bouncing back and forth, and it really makes you feel like you're immersed. It's amazing. The first one, really, really special with what it does auditorially. But on its core, it's a pretty simplistic game. Basic combat, basic puzzles, pretty much walking simulator. But it was carried by that intimacy that you felt like you had characters in your head. Really well done. And so going into this one, I kind of had high expectations. It wasn't anything that I was anticipating tremendously, partly because it was only coming to Xbox. So, I kind of, that admittedly lowers it a little bit. But I had, expectations that it would improve on some things, and improve on the combat, make it more in depth. And I'm unfortunately here to say that the only thing that they've improved on with the sequel is the graphical fidelity of the game, which, in fairness, is probably their main focus. I don't know if I've ever played such a simplistic game that wasn't designed as a walking simulator. And that's kind of one of my big takeaways from this is like, it doesn't seem like there was any North Star in this development besides make it look as pretty as possible. And that's fine, I suppose, if like if you're not trying to like incorporate these other aspects of the game, right? Like you're in combat, like when you're actually playing the game, which is a lot of just pushing forward, but when you're actually doing stuff, it's usually just combat or a puzzle. Between that, you're just going from point A to point B while your voices in your head talk to you. So when I'm actually engaged with the game, I want to be engaged and be having fun. And when it just becomes I think I was a little harsh when I said previously that like it was combat designed by a third grader. It's not that bad. There's some dodges and things you have to do, but it's incredibly frustrating. There's a huge lag between button press and action, so you're constantly like no, and you get hit by a guy, right? And you press another button, no, and then the guy like stabs you so it's just constantly feels bad. I don't think there's any sort of health system. I had one fight where I got hit probably 25 times. And I just my screen just stayed red. So it's like I kind of didn't really get what was going on there.
Because you're just so early in the game.
It might have been that, but so I'm like, okay, combat, you guys did not push the needle like I was hoping you would. And so, okay, how are we doing with the auditory thing, right? Are we expanding this at all, right? When we had that Xbox showcase back early in the year, and they kind of showed all the tech that was going into the auditory thing, right? And the tech is still there, but it's not really pushed in any way beyond what the first one was at, and the writing has very much dipped. And again, full disclosure, I probably bailed out after about 3 hours. So I probably made 3 hours into the 8-hour experience. So it might get better, but I was honestly a little taken aback because the game starts off, you're kind of seemingly captured by some sort of slaver group. You're on a boat sinks. And so you're immediately thrown into the water. You kind of fight for your life, got to get to the surface to breathe. And like the voices in your head are just yelling at you. They're just like, get to the surface, get to the surface. You are going to drown. And it's just like, this is not, okay, this is the beginning of the game. Like maybe it gets better. And they continuously just kind of like, it's more just like, yeah, your internal thoughts are just shouting at you. Not like you have these different personalities in your head kind of pushing and pulling you and making you doubt yourself and make you question what is the thing I should do. It's more just like shouting like, no, he's coming for you. He's behind you. Okay, yeah, oh, yep, he's behind me. And I'm going to fight a guy that way. And it's just like, and I know that when this game gets developed, as did the first one, they worked alongside mental health consultants and people actually dealing with psychosis and things like that. So maybe again I'm being a little bit harsh on it because the novelty of the system wore off. Maybe when I played it the first time, I was just like, oh, this is so cool that like, it feels like a person's literally walking around my head, and it's going from left ear into front and to right and to back, and like it's kind of doing this cool thing. But I was just left disappointed, man. It was another example of like, I think Kyle Bossman made this excellent point where it's like this game held far more value before it was released than when it actually was released, right? It was this thing that we could all point to and be like, no, at least Xbox has this coming. It could blow us out of the water. It could be, a much more fleshed out experience. And it came out and it was none of those things. And it's just kind of another example of an Xbox developed first party game that's like, it's just, not quite there. It's not quite fleshed out enough. I don't know if they needed... I don't know what this team needed. I don't know. I don't think they needed more money. I don't think they needed more time. They maybe just needed more staff to really kind of have like a in-depth combat director and an in-depth quest sort of giver, or making the world feel a little more fleshed out. But again,
do you think that's what they were going for, or is it like I just mentioned with the Alan Wake DLC, like combat's just an afterthought because you want to get through this visually stimulating and facial capture just on another level that they've been kind of toting this whole time. When the game's been shown off, it's been so much about the facial capture.
Sure.
Do you think that maybe that maybe combat was an afterthought? They're just because the game's reviewed at 81. It's not. It's not the worst thing that it's critics are seeing anyway.
And I think it was an afterthought, and I think that's kind of, what I was saying about the North Star of this was just to make it as pretty as possible, and everything else got sacrificed. And maybe that's where it's like, yes, it wasn't a focus, but it wasn't a focus not by choice, but by necessity, where it's like, hey, we only have, I don't know how many people work at Ninja Theory. I'm going to guess 100,
right?
Something like
that's
that.
Probably true.
It's maybe a team that needs to be beefed up a little bit more. If you have 200 people, which is, it's no small task to double the size of a studio, especially if, you have an 8-year development cycle with this game that's not going to give you your money back. Why would Microsoft invest money into this team? I understand all that, but it left me feeling with you guys spent 8 years on this, and
they're not really proven.
No,
and between these games, they did that Bleeding Edge, which failed.
Not great.
So
it's just so Tango gets shut down with Hi-Fi Rush, and this gets seemingly a pass. So it's just
that game hasn't come out yet. By when that happened, this studio, unless they're going to start working on other titles, they're on the chopping block too.
Yeah, but they should have the people who make who are checking the benchmarks and the points of the process and projects. I don't know, man. It's 8 hours. Length of a game is not a problem at that level, but when your only draw is good facial animations and environments, it just by hour 3, I'm fucking done.
Yeah, I'm shocked you didn't see this to the end.
Yeah, I don't know. I was like, I should just do this just to do it, but I was so not invested in what was going on. Again, the whole shtick is the voices in your head thing, but they're not progressing a narrative. They're not making you feel conflicted in any way. They're just kind of shouting at you and saying keep going, no, go over there, now go over there. Where it just started to feel flat, and I have more, I have different things I could be doing, and so
sure.
I'm gonna throw a score on this, but huge asterisk. I have not beaten this. Grain of salt.
Boy.
It's a 6.
Okay.
It's a 6 out of 10. It's very pretty. I can see what they were trying to do, but in my opinion, short of graphics, it fell short in every way, unfortunately.
Okay.
So, but again, take that with a grain of salt. If you find yourself, Will, I know you love your walking sims. Could be something if it makes its way to PlayStation, because I do think this game will make its way to PlayStation. But yeah, it was one as I finished it, or I finished where I wanted to stop. I canceled Game Pass, and I texted you, be like, "Hey, do you want my Xbox?" So, I still think I probably will trade that into GameStop, because I think they're giving $300 for it. It's
for sure.
$325. It's the question is, Nick, do I get $325 store credit or $250 cash? I don't know. It's $325 store credit will just last me for a while.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I don't know. It's just it was a little disappointing. I wanted to like that a little bit more. I almost got the platinum in the first one. I just missed one dumb fucking thing, and it was a platinum that I didn't earn because I should have followed a guide a little more intrinsically. But yeah, that's about all I got. So unfortunately, yeah, and that's another game that just came and went. Spider-Man 2 came and went. That one is who's talking about Hellblade 2 anymore?
Yeah, I might get a best performance category at the Game Awards, but it'll be forgotten too.
Yep,
so.
Definitely not a Game of the Year nomination. No.
So
No.
All right, since we last talked about the games we're playing, Stellar Blade, John let me borrow his copy, and talking about another game where you shouldn't just show the opening hours. I played the demo, and the opening hours were fine, but it wasn't really until I got to the main hub of the game, Zion, and with its neon signs and its crazy character design, I'm like, is this cyberpunk? And then I went into the basement of a speakeasy which had a chick, and she was just a head with like a skeleton, and all her parts were missing. I was like, oh shit, this is Cyberpunk. This whole game is Cyberpunk, and I kind of got really obsessed with it right when that happened. I started playing it a lot. I think it is, as far as the studio's like first effort, I thought it played excellently.
Yeah.
I think the systems, nothing was punishing. Like, you have the ability to dodge in various ways, and they're assigned by colors. So if it's blue, you hit forward and O. If it's purple or pink, it's back and O. And yeah, the game was never too hard for me. I had one boss fight that I took quite a few tries, I think like 7 or 8 tries, but I eventually beat him and felt great. No, John, that does not mean I'm playing Souls games.
Yeah, we'll get there.
But yeah, I saw it through to the end and had a great time. I thought about platinuming it, but 2 playthroughs is just too much for me. I can't do it anymore unless I have insane amount of free time, and even then I'll be like, was it worth it?
Nope.
So but yeah, it gets a full recommendation for me. And it's very pretty, and I'm not even just talking about like the obvious outfits that are just absurd, and I do like that aspect of any video game. I think collectibles being something that you can show off on your character. This game, Jedi Star Wars Survivor, Spider-Man 2, that's like a big mechanic, is collecting all the suits, and it's fun to find the ones that you like, and same with this. I did not attract to any of the bikini outfits, John. I went with a more in-lore cyberpunk-looking outfit that I thought looked pretty dope.
Show me your save file. Let's see.
Yeah, anytime, man. Anytime. It'll load the Orca expedition suit is the one I'm referring to. That was
Midsummer Alice. Come on.
Yeah, that was the outfit that I was like, holy shit. Like, okay.
Yeah. Just lingerie.
Yeah. But yeah, just like I said, just for a bunch of great like side characters in the game. Digger is a cool little droid that you deal with, and yeah,
he's a robot. Droids in Star Wars.
Okay, you're right. Little robot. And the story, which some of the beats were kind of I suspected would happen, but still overall just a cool game. A sequel for this would be like a 90. Sure.
I think watch out for the sequel for sure.
Because just some of the zones, especially they too samey. They have a wasteland and a great desert.
Right.
It's like,
come on,
let's do better than that. And then the great desert's so huge that it's weird that I for some reason thought you got a motorcycle in this, and maybe I was just crazy about that. Yeah. But it needed some kind of traversal method of not just her running fast over this giant desert. But
like I said, Nier Automata was perfect, where it's just like it was like a 30-second build up to like you just keep increasing speed until like you're just zooming around,
and you do move pretty fast. But it has a fishing mechanic that was a little fun little side thing to do. That was another thing I was like, I don't want to do 20 fish. I'm not doing that.
Apparently that's the one that everybody gets hung up on because it's not.
Yeah, it's probably
RNG,
random.
It's just RNG gods. Yep.
Right. And I enjoyed it a lot. Like I really do think it kept raising the bar. I thought the Spire 4, one of the last levels in the game, was just awesome. It was just a sweet level. It's like a space elevator.
I love it. Yeah, that space elevator ride was cool. Like it's because it's slow.
Yeah,
it goes for a long time, and you can see yourself getting into,
and then
orbit.
That mission alone has one of probably the best payoffs in any video game I've played in a while, outside of like a Final Fantasy 16, where there's just a moment you're just like, holy shit, like that's insane. Mm-hmm. And just good job, Shift Up. What a game.
They did a very good job balancing it. I like what you said, where it's like it never punished you and it never felt too hard, but it also never felt, at least for me, very like it was never a pushover. Like I always had to be engaged to it, but like just the amount of health recovery items that you get, the amount of burst mechanics and beta mechanics, and you get eventually like a push both triggers in to go into special Taki mode, and they just
Spartan Rage mode.
They give you so many different avenues to let you enjoy yourself, and that's a hard thing to do effectively, especially for a team coming out for their first foray. So yeah, you give them you give them a bigger budget and let them cook on a second one for a little bit longer, which I guarantee they're starting to probably pre-produce right now because like that game sold very, very well, received very, very well, and
yeah, it has Devil May Cry vibes. Like Eve is a badass character. Like she don't fuck around. Like some of the every boss fight ends in a cool little cutscene of her, doing the finishing blow, and
she would have absolutely been in the battle royale if we got
and I think if just like Devil May Cry in a sequel, if they can just give you multiple weapon types, that would be huge.
Yeah.
Like and then now you're talking other play styles and stuff like that. Yeah,
dominatrix whip with my dominatrix suit.
You do fight a character toward the end of the game that has like the IV sword, the sword that like unchinks itself and it becomes a whip, which is a pretty sweet weapon. So
What'd you call it? IV sword?
In Soul Calibur, Ivy, the character,
I
had a sword that would break apart and become a whip. So.
Gotcha.
So I think there's a lot of room to improve here, and this was a 9 out of 10 for me.
Nice. I thought about it. I just felt it was a little. I think it was probably just me being in a funk towards the end of it, where I was just like, I just want to be done. But.
And this game has multiple endings, and similar to Cyberpunk, it was funny that John got arguably the worst ending in Cyberpunk, and then I looked at which ending he got in this one, and it's also a bad ending. It's not the quote unquote true ending.
My ending
that I got. That the true ending in this is very good too, and just wow, I like being surprised.
Wouldn't have thought it.
Dave the Diver, now Stellar Blade.
It's almost like I know what I'm talking about. You should play Elden Ring, Nicholas.
What?
Oh, Neon White. Oh, Hades. Oh,
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
All right, and then the last game, I'll be brief on this one because I'm just really early on. Is Dragon's Dogma 2. I went to GameStop. I laid my big gamer ego on the table because I brought back Persona 5, Last of Us Part 2, Unicorn Overlord, and Street Fighter 6. I'm like they knew they were messing. Yeah, this guy is a true gamer, capital G. Look at that stack of games. You could have shown up
with 3 less games, and you put Unicorn Overlord on the table, and they go, oh.
Yeah, that's like the game we actually talked about the most because she was a fan of Fire Emblem. So I was like, oh yeah, these are very similar games. I got Dragon's Dogma. Again, like I said, it's very early on. One of the things that I'm kind of bouncing off right now is how obtuse it is. It really does not hold your hand. This is as open world RPG as it gets, to where you'll finish talking to somebody and there's no quest markers. You're just like, what do I do? Oh, I'm looking up a guide. I'm like, how would I have known to do that? Stuff like that. And same with the enemies you run into. We saw this in some of the trailers where you can manipulate the environment. You can pull out rock. You can explode rocks, and a gushing river will come and wash an ogre down and stuff like that. But it's the obtuseness and the lack of a talkable, playable character, and that your pawns just repeat the same generic dialogue over and over and over again. It's kind of turning me off.
Yeah.
And this is a very large game too. So, yeah. So I don't know. We'll see. I got it physically. Maybe John, you can check it out.
Yeah. So is there like a quest log or anything?
Yeah.
Like that?
Yeah. You have a quest log. It's just like certain, and when you have to turn in quests and stuff like this, it'll point you to certain things. But very early on, you're given a quest to watch this beggar in the street, and that's all it says. Watch the beggar. And you're just like,
what?
Okay, what does that mean? And apparently, if you hang around him at night, he'll leave his post, and you can follow him around, and that's how you complete the quest. But it doesn't tell you that.
Yeah. It
just tells you to watch him, and you're just like, well, he's always here. Every time I come into this town, he's right here, and things like that. And it's hinted like, oh, you should keep going to this town because it keeps getting attacked by monsters for some reason. And you're like, well, when do I go back?
Right.
And it's just like it's that kind of stuff.
It doesn't respect your time, is what you're telling me.
Exactly.
That's one of my biggest pet peeves.
Exactly. So I think that might turn you off. But
Elden Ring doesn't have any of that stuff. So.
Yeah, that's true. Everyone has their game, right? You'll go against your principles for that game. But other than that, it's we'll see.
So we haven't given up yet.
I haven't given up yet. It's still installed. We're in kind of a gaming lull, but I'm actually going to honestly, probably take a break here. No, I'm going to just take a break.
Yeah,
I'm not going to get an Elden Ring. Enjoy my summer a little bit more, get outside more.
Yeah.
And maybe just, when I'm more wanting to be engaged in video games more, maybe this game will rise up.
Listen to your heart, man.
Yeah.
Your heart doesn't always have to be dedicated to video games.
Right. So, so that is kind of it. We're just going to bring those things because those were all the beefy topics. So, for teases, expect us to again for the video game character battle royale to return.
Well, let's get those matchups, huh?
I'll
get those matchups.
Sure.
All right. So, for those that have been listening for the past 72 months, we have whittled it down to four contestants left. Although, no, one of them is not Kratos. Shocker. We have 2B, Zagreus, Dante, and Solid Snake. So we need to figure out who our matchups are going to be to establish the finale. You ready for it? Ready?
Yeah.
So we got Solid Snake is facing Zagreus, which means Dante and 2B. No.
Okay. Yeah, that's good.
Solid Snake, Zagreus, Dante, 2B.
Okay. Well, maybe you'll get lucky. You'll get your Zagreus versus 2B. That would be a pretty good finale for John. Believe me.
Yeah, I mean, that's I'm good with any of them.
Okay.
Solid Snake winning would make me upset a little bit, not from a character standpoint, but from no, he would not win in this fight.
Boo.
But we'll let the audience decide. That's what we do.
Yeah, and then so we'll do the video game character battle royale. And speaking of Metal Gear, we have an email that we'll read next week about Metal Gear, as Metal Gear Solid Delta is coming, Snake Eater.
Yeah, Will answered the call.
Yeah, so if you have thoughts on the Metal Gear franchise, we haven't really gone in depth into it because obviously those games came out before we did a show, but it'd be fun. I'm down to talk a lot of Metal Gear.
I don't know a lot. That's the problem.
No, that's a shame.
That's the problem.
That's a shame. Well, maybe they'll release. Well, they have the Metal Gear collection. You could start there, and then if they have the volume 2, if they could ever get Guns of the Patriots MGS4 off of the PS3.
I'll tell you what the biggest thing they need to do for me to do it is. They need to remake 1. It's too dated for me now. I've tried.
What about Twin Snakes?
It's too much.
GameCube's too far back.
Yeah, it's rough, man. I've tried. 2's even probably a little too rough.
Yeah.
So if they can modernize them. Because I have, you know me with my control schemes.
30
right?
years from now, when they've gone and remade all of them,
I know it. But you know me with my control schemes. It's the main reason Rockstar, I bounce off them. I just don't like the way they feel. And Metal Gear is another one of those where it's just I know the story and the characters and all that is great, but I just don't like the feeling of
5 was the only one that really played
just
incredibly
anytime
well.
getting Snake to go from upright to kneeling to prone.
Yeah.
I'm just I don't like this.
I'm curious how hopefully it'll be a little more. I'm assuming updated for this remake of Snake Eater, but we'll talk about that.
Maybe some retro. There's some franchise retrospectives might. Yeah, it's a good idea. We should do that.
Yeah. So, and again, we'll see what games I'll bring, but I don't know if you have any other.
No, I'm
games on your radar.
Shadow.
Yeah.
I mean, I.
Oh yeah, hopefully you get to this weekend. So
I'm hoping to stick. I beat Margit. People who know.
Yeah,
I beat Margit, Godric, Ranella, and the dude in the south, big red wolf guy. Oh, and the wolf leading to Ranella in one night. I was just because I am so strong. I can just carve my way through. So it's a really, really fun time. So yeah, I should be able to get to where I need to be in probably 10 to 15 hours, I would bet.
Mm-hmm.
So,
okay.
Yeah, other than that, no, I don't have anything.
All right. Well, that leads us to the song, and
boy, is it a special one.
And it is a special one. We hope you enjoy this AI-generated theme song for the show. It's a good way to end and celebrate 100 episodes of Between the Joysticks. So enjoy.
Great.
It's not cringy at all. Don't worry.
Does it have a title?
No, just Between the Joysticks.
All right.
So
Between Our Sticks is the name of the song.
Enjoy the song again. E3 season is officially over. We will move on. We've done 100 episodes now, 100 episodes in the book, so we look forward to the next 100 episodes. And again, if you have any thoughts, please write in betweenthejoysticks@gmail.com. We'll read your email. Please rate us on your platform of choice so we can get more listeners. Tell your friends, tell your family if you enjoy the show. So thanks again for listening, and we'll be back next week with up to 6 things. Bye, guys.
Kisses.
It's podcast time, 2 best buds on the line, talking games and lots of fun between the joysticks, everyone. From the classics to new hits, gaming gossip never quits. Pixel power in the air, best buds banter everywhere. Level up, ready, go. Joystick tales you gotta know. Between the joysticks, laughs and tricks, game reviews that always click. Friendly jabs and witty puns, high scores and endless runs, gaming news and secret tips. Pop the cartridge, hear the blitz. Tech talk, banter on repeat. Joystick talk ain't complete. Level up, ready, go. Joystick tales you gotta know. Between the joysticks, laughs and tricks, game reviews that always click. From the classics to new hits, gaming gossip never quits. Pixel power in the air, best buds banter everywhere. Level up, ready, go. Joystick tales you gotta know. Between the joysticks, laughs and tricks, game reviews that always click. Joystick battles they contest. Who's the gamer that's the best?